Hello, beautiful female entrepreneurs. I am so excited that you are joining me here today for feminine debt repayment. So I am going to be taking time today to share with you how to start approaching your debt in a more feminine way and actual action steps that you can take to create a sustainable debt repayment plan. And that is something that is super, super important when you are actually talking about eliminating debt, because one of the very big differences when you approach your debt in a feminine way is learning how to create a sustainable plan. This is not about creating deprivation of yourself. This is not about you going through a bunch of shame and anxiety and beating yourself up about your past financial mistakes. This is about you approaching it in a beautiful energy where you are learning how to repay your debt from a feminine perspective. So I see a lot of you hopping on. I'm so happy for you to be joining us. Go ahead and drop a hello in the comments so I can see who's here, and let me know where you're joining us from. I'd love to hear from you. So before we kick off, I want to let you guys know kind of who I am and what I do. I am Eleanor Prisco. I work as a financial coach for females, both female entrepreneurs and females in the 9-to-5 world that are looking to create more financial stability in their life. And we do that through strategic financial management together and money mindset work. So when you're talking about taking an energetic shift to towards your money, a lot of times you're talking about money mindset work. So we're looking at one aspect of a financial relationship in this class today, which is debt. We're going to be kind of taking a little bit of a deep dive into understanding what is the shift that we want to make into a more feminine energy around our debt and the action steps we can take if you currently have debt and you would like to pay it off. Antoinette, hello from New York City. Hello, hello. Hello, sis. So excited that you guys are able to join us. So I'm going to give you a quick also understanding my backstory. So how did I become so passionate about finances and money? Well, I actually grew up in a lower income household, and this kind of gave me a front row seat to seeing how difficult financial struggle could be, and how there were lots and lots of limiting situations that occurred because of the lack of financial stability that was present in my house. So it led me to become massively financially educated in wanting to know more about how to manage my own wealth well, how to invest, how to, really create those feelings of financial stability and really start to get reflective on my own money story and money mindset, and then shift into a space of wanting to create wealth in my life. So that led me to become really passionate, and I went into the regular workforce and being in a 9-to-5 job. Let me know if any of you are still in a 9-to-5 job or if you're all focused on your own businesses. But I discovered when I was in that 9-to-5 job, a lot of my friends were financially struggling to manage their finances. And they approached me and were like, you're just so good at it. How do you do it? And so I started helping my friends get out of credit card debt and learn how to manage their money. And that led me to like that more than my 9-to-5 job. And I eventually ended up here where I started coaching other people on a professional level on how to start managing their finances, as well as shift their energetic relationship with money. So that's kind of a bit about my story. Let me know in the comments if you totally get what I'm putting down of, recognizing how the way in which you grew up has influenced how you interact with money. I'm more in a 9-to-9 job. Hey, Olivia, you're here in DC. How cool. Me too. It's so excited to see someone locally on the line. Sai, I totally hear you. The limitations of the 9-to-5 world and how those hours are expanding is kind of crazy. So I want to quickly share some really, really important factors with you ladies before we begin about what it means when you are looking at making an energetic shift with your debt and just in general being strategic about paying off your debt. This is a long game, okay? And I'm going to say this again. This is a long game, okay? And if you, oh yeah, Olivia, I'd love to meet up. I'll PM you after. When it comes to getting a handle on your debt, You have to start seeing it as a long game. Many times as women, we are like, okay, I want to pay off my debt. And because it can't happen immediately, we become frustrated, which is totally normal. This is such a normal reaction for so many people. It's hard to be patient and being like, oh, wait, I can't pay this off right away. Then I feel really a lot of guilt, a lot of shame about these past financial mistakes that I've made that has led to this debt, right? And so that can create a whole boatload of challenging beliefs and paradigms to face when it comes to actually eliminating it. So remember that this is a long game, okay? This is about you taking a total shift in your vision around debt. The second thing I want to share with you before we begin is be open to other solutions, okay, that you didn't even know existed. Negative energy is in fact blocking you from the potential solution that Goddess and Divine want to provide to you, and you just don't know it yet, right? You don't know the exact plan to move forward yet, because right now all you're seeing is potentially this massive pile of debt, and you're just like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't see the vision. I don't see where I can go from this. And I want to talk with you today about how you can open those doors and allow those beautiful divine ideas to flow into you so that you can actually see how you can eliminate your debt, okay, with a total shift in energy towards the feminine. Number 3, really big thing to share, and let me know if you're totally picking up what I'm putting down, ladies. I love to see the comments and to know that what I am saying is making sense. So the third thing I want to share is the feeling of resistance that might come up during this live class. Know that like when we hit massive resistance, it means that there's a huge payoff on the other side. Okay. When you find yourself wanting to get off this live stream, thinking about ending, just like hopping off and not dealing with your debt, I want you to think about the end result of what it would be like when you actually have your debt fully paid off and the feelings you would get from that. And I am going to be sharing exact techniques to help you get there. So I really, really deeply desire for you to stay on this call, because I want to empower as many women as possible to know that they no longer need to be limited by money, and for them to really transform their relationships when it comes to their money. So I know that there might come up feelings of resistance and feelings like, oh my gosh, she doesn't understand me or my story or my financial situation. And I want you to know that on the other side of that resistance is a huge, huge payoff. So stick with me. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to post them in the comments. I will be doing a Q&A at the end though, just to keep that in mind. So as a financial success coach, one of the very, I'm going to start off with a very, clear and classic way. Just get this right out of the way, rip the Band-Aid off. The first step you need to do when you're creating a feminine debt repayment plan is you've got to know your debt numbers. Okay. So I'm going to post this in the comments for those who catch the replay so they know the different areas in the live stream. So know your debt numbers. Now, I know it can feel really, really overwhelming. You're like, that's what everyone tells me. I need to get to know my debt numbers. But as I said, we're going to do this right from the beginning. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off, because here's the thing. As a feminine financial planner, right? As someone that is approaching things in a more feminine way, you're a badass boss, okay? Especially when it comes to your money. When it comes to your money, you are a beautiful badass boss, and you are someone that faces her numbers and overcomes that fear and knows that on the other side of that fear is a huge fucking payoff, okay? So what are the numbers that you need to know, right? You need to know your due dates, you need to know the total debt you owe, and you need to know your interest rates. Okay? Because that's going to help you create a sustainable debt repayment plan, which we'll be getting to a little later, because it's all about creating sustainability. We don't want to move into a space of, the negative space of total deprivation when we're trying to create a debt repayment plan. So the first step, ripping the Band-Aid off, you've got to know your numbers, because you are a beautiful badass boss who is ready to take on her money and become an empowered, feminine money manager. And I know that that's possible for you. So if you want to commit to that right now, being like, yes, after I get off this call or later tonight, or after I watch this replay, I'm going to figure out my debt numbers. So go ahead and drop a I'm in the comments below. If you're like, yes, I am prepared to make this first commitment, take this first step to figuring out my debt repayment plan. In the comments, let me know. So that's the first thing. And we're just going to go right to the next one, because I know that can be a really overwhelming thing for a lot of people to face. And many times what they hear when they say, oh, figure out your debt numbers is, oh, this is just like every other plan. There is some like basic financial strategy that must happen when it comes to, Olivia, I'm so happy you're in. Yes, girl. So the thing is, when it comes to debt repayment, there are some things that are going to be pretty standard that you need to figure out, such as what are the numbers, your due dates, the total debt you owe, and your interest rate, also known as APR. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Okay, and this is identifying your debt programming. Now, this is something, Whitney, you're in. I'm so happy to hear that. So identifying your debt programming is a very feminine thing to do, okay? Because this is not about you judging yourself. This is not about you going into a space of shame or, beating yourself up. It's about you actually understand, how does this debt make you feel? Because it's not like, okay, we're just going to go into this massive financially strategic plan to eliminate this debt. We're actually going to understand, how does this make me feel? How does the debt make me feel? And how has that influenced where I am right now with it? Okay? So take some time to dive in deep into understanding, like, once you've looked at your debt, think about, okay, how does this debt make me feel? And the thing is, you might be able to answer this right now on the live stream, and I'd love to hear from you in your comments. Like, when you're thinking about the credit card debt or the loans you have, or maybe the personal loans, what are the first feelings that come up for you around that debt? And it's okay if those feelings are shame, if they are fear, if it's overwhelm, if it's anxiety. Those are 100% acceptable feelings to have and 100% normal, right? But we do not want those feelings to cripple us from taking the actions we need to and becoming these beautiful, badass bosses when it comes to our money, right? So let me know in the comments, how does your debt make you feel? Because this is a very feminine approach to actually understanding your debt. Because once you actually understand how you feel about your debt, you can stop yourself from repeating this same situation, right? So Whitney shared that it makes her feel trapped. It creates anxiety for her. I totally hear you, Whitney. That is 100% a normal feeling to have when it comes to debt. Because the thing is, I want to push you a little further. Think about what experiences have you had with debt your entire life? And are you repeating a pattern? Okay, that's a deeper place to go with this. Anxious, numb, Olivia shared. Carol, so excited that you're joining us from Northern Indiana. Olivia, fearful. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm loving that you're sharing these beautiful, beautiful emotions, ladies, when it comes to identifying how your debt makes you feel. Because the thing is, once you identify, like, oh my gosh, this is how this debt makes me feel. This is how I feel when it comes to, looking at my debt, you're able then to be like, okay, if this is how I feel, how am I going to feel when I have a plan to pay this off? Are these feelings actually going to be quieted? Are they going to be, less potent when it comes to like being present in your life? And are they going to be less crippling? Okay. That is a very feminine approach. It's, let's shift our emotions and how we're feeling. And the only way we can do that is by identifying those emotions and understanding on a deeper level, how does this debt make me feel? Okay. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to get clear. Step number 3, after you've identified your debt programming and how this debt makes you feel. And number 1, you've already identified your debt numbers. Number 3 is you're going to want to create your desire debt plan. Okay. Just type that into the comments. Hey, everyone else who's joining on. Hi from Beacon, New York. Hello, Angelique. So you're going to want to create your desired debt plan. Okay. Now, this of course is more feminine focused. This is not just about like, okay, I have, this deadline and things like that. Creating a desire focused plan is like, what is the deadline you actually desire? okay, for your debt to be eliminated by. And then, hello, Mary, hi. Hello. So when you're creating a desired debt repayment plan, you're actually focusing on, okay, it's not about focusing on this feeling of, oh, I can't pay this off. I don't know how I'm going to finish this. It's about you actually being like, okay, when do I desire to pay this off by? And what feels sustainable? Okay? It's because you need to pay attention. Carla, you're commission based in real estate. Cool. That's such an awesome a world of a business. I love that. Thank you for sharing. So I want to know, like, what is your desired deadline, and then thinking about how can I make this happen without deprivation techniques. Okay, because it's super important to understand and know that many times when we look to paying off debt, like the entire regular system is like, let's tighten the belt, right? Let's decrease our spending, let's deprive, let's work harder because that's going to help us somehow. And instead of going into a space of ease and flow and really being able to move into an energetic space of, you know what, I can increase my income, I can create a sustainable plan, I can be open to additional solutions, right? Because when you open yourself up to additional solutions, especially from the divine, you're gonna see a lot more opportunities for you. But you have to think about, like, okay, what's my desired deadline? And then just simply open up to it. Open up to that being the desire. Because that deadline is your desired deadline, it will be. Okay? And open yourself up to that, because that's what creating a desired debt repayment plan is about. Of course, I want you to take the additional steps of going and finding a debt repayment calculator online, figuring out the monthly payments you need to make, and then like making that a reality, right? Taking the action steps you need to make this a reality. But I want you to first think about, what is my desired debt repayment deadline, and actually being like, it's possible. Not your first thought being like, it's not possible, I can't do this, this would not at all work out, but simply being like, it's possible, and then opening yourself up to the, divine showing up for you on the other side, and being totally ready to handle it, and to handle the amazing things that come to you so that you can achieve this, right? Now, I want to move on to understanding point 4, which is understanding these factors. Okay. Now, understanding these factors, and I'm about to describe what these factors are, don't you worry, are really, really important to shifting yourself energetically when it comes to moving into a more feminine space of debt repayment. Okay. So, number 1, taking out a loan to pay off other debt and eliminate it is not taking on more debt. Okay. So many times when we think about, okay, how can I pay off my debt? And I'll be working with clients and it's like, okay, we should consolidate. And that doesn't mean closing your credit cards. That doesn't mean, going into some kind of like weird debt repayment program that you get like you destroy your credit score and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm talking about you take out a loan, you have it for a certain term, and you pay off all your credit card debt, or you consolidate the different debt you have, right? Let me know in the comments, like, what is the biggest debt that you are potentially working to solve right now? Like what kind of debt brought you to this this call today? Is it college loans? Is it credit card debt? Is it personal loans, car loans, all those kinds of good things? I would love for you to share that vulnerability with me, and let me know in the comments what kind of debt brought you here today to this lesson. So when it comes to your debt, when you decide to take out a loan to pay off all of that debt and consolidate it and get rid of that credit card debt, that's not a bad thing, right? You're not actually taking on more debt. You're literally just moving all of your debt into one place and making it a lot easier for you to understand and start managing your money. Olivia, credit card, big time. I don't know what to do. Oh, Olivia, we should totally talk. Since I got my start in helping my friends get out of credit card debt, I'm more than happy to talk with you about what it looks like to work with me and the financial plans I help my clients create. So it's very important to understand that like by taking out some kind of loan to consolidate your debt is not taking on more debt. It's like you just kind of changing the picture. You're reframing your debt. Okay. You're reframing it. So, and it's just simply more sustainable for you. Okay. Because you're putting yourself into an actual plan that creates more freedom for you, more ease, less anxiety, less stress, kind of loosens up that like anxiety, fear, and like feeling trapped. You're moving and choosing a more feminine way to approach your debt rather than being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to keep it in the whole credit cards that I have or this high interest rate and struggle and have to push myself harder and work harder and like do all these things. Like instead you're like, okay, you know what? I'm choosing to be more feminine about this and I'm choosing to do some kind of consolidation, whatever is best for me, right? And you're moving yourself into a sustainable plan, right? So there are so many companies out there that do this kind of work, or, you know, your bank or something like that. Sis says credit card debt and student loans. Totally hear you there. Student loans are a rough one. What if I can't get a good interest rate for the consolidation loan? Sis, I think we should probably talk more in depth about that because, like on the call, like on a private call, because what if you can't get a good interest rate for the consolidating loan? It depends on the type of debt you're talking about. Because if you're talking about credit cards, there's a couple different, systems you could do, like going to your bank and to get like a personal loan to do it. Or if you're talking, or there's like other companies that are now providing that. And it all depends on what they're assessing, your credit score or employment or things like that. When it comes to student loans, it depends on the type of student loans you have. There are lots of different programs out there where it's like, it's hard to say what if you can't get a good interest rate. To get like totally real with you real quick, like if you're saying like, I just can't get a good interest rate, I just can't get a good interest rate, I can't get a good interest rate, then that's what you're going to manifest into your life. Because the thing is, when it comes to interest rates, it is very much based on like your financial picture. So it might just be about like managing your money in a different way and like reframing your financial picture and moving into a space and like finding different and opening yourself up to different opportunities that you might be unaware of. Because like there's like and this is going to be a really funny kind of connection and example, but for the longest time I told myself, right, that I could not have multiple pairs of eyeglasses. Like I wear glasses, my glasses are right here, right? And a huge sign of luxury to me was going to be like actually having multiple pairs of eyeglasses and prescription sunglasses. But I constantly was telling myself, they're too expensive, they're too expensive, they're too expensive. But once I identified my desire, right, an important factor that we already talked about, identifying your desired payoff time, like your actual deadline, instead of constantly repeating this language and this record of, I can't pay it off, I can't afford to pay this, I can't afford to pay this, being like, this is the desired deadline I have. And because it is my desire, it is divinely in alignment with me and when I am meant to pay it off. And so you get clear on that desire. I got clear on the desire that a huge symbol of luxury to me and something I really wanted was, multiple pairs of eyeglasses. And what ended up happening, once I finally recognized that desire, within 2 weeks, I found a, eyeglass company called I Buy Direct, where I was able to buy 4 pairs of glasses, two sunglasses, 2 regular glasses with prescriptions in them. And then it was under $100 with lens installations. Like we trap ourselves into quote unquote shitty financial situations and trap ourselves into financial blockages in our life by simply the language and the programming we continue to say to ourselves. And that is just the way it is. And I do fully recognize that from especially the language that I grew up around of constantly being like, no, it's always a struggle. You get into debt and you can never get out of it. But you can get out of it. And it's simply about reframing yourself into a more feminine way and like rebuilding that faith of being like, okay, you know what, I need to reframe my finances. I need to create a financial planner. I need to identify the deadline I actually desire. And maybe it's your student loans you want to pay off in 5 years, maybe the credit cards in 3 years, because I don't know exactly your numbers. So if it's like higher, if it's lower, but you create the solution for yourself by getting clear on your desires and moving into a space of trusting and faith in like the divine and showing up for you. And it's an amazing fucking thing to do. And that's how you shift into feminine financial management and feminine debt repayment. Whitney says, mortgage ×2, car loans ×2. We pay off credit cards each month. Amazing. But a total of $345K. It makes me feel stuck in my current job. Whitney, I totally hear you there. I can understand how it makes you feel stuck in your current job. And I appreciate you guys sharing so much vulnerability on the call. I fucking love this. Whitney, you desire to be debt-free in 5 years. Love that. Love that. So like if you are clear on that desire, then you can start creating that plan now, right? And looking at, okay, what does it look like to consolidate some of these loans? Or are these houses really what we want? Are the cars what we really want? You know, how can you reframe and shift your financial situation? Angelique, I'm so happy you're in for committing to know your numbers by the end of today for your debt. Okay, so the second thing that is absolutely important to understand when you're shifting into a more feminine way of approaching your finances, also says, I hope that answered your question and had a good reframe for you. So the second thing to know is there is always a way, and I've already kind of touched on this in answering Sis's question, but there is always a way to pay off your current debt. There is always a way. And it's about shifting from that space of going like, you know, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm so overwhelmed. We're just simply being like, no, I can do this. I can do this. Like shift into that like powerful, beautiful, badass boss that you are and be like, you know what? I'm going to figure this problem out. Okay. I am a problem solver. I'm going to figure this shit out. And if you're saying, no, Eleanor, I'm not a problem solver. This is not what I do. Well, then hop on a call with me or find someone that can help you be a problem solver, right? Be like, let's get this handled. Because as soon as you have a map, you're going to know what the fuck you need to do, right? When it comes to your money. So, it's so important to shift into that space of moving away from the can't to the can, you know? It's a really, really important thing to do because what you're doing with that, when you say can't, you're literally saying, I cannot receive. I cannot receive from the universe. I cannot receive solutions. I cannot receive the financial means to do this. I cannot receive the ability for me to pay this off. I cannot receive to actually put myself into a better financial situation, right? That's what the can't world is, right? And it's a bunch of, you know, it's not being in the feminine, which is ease and flow and being in a space to receive. When you move into feminine financial planning, you are welcoming in receiving. You are welcoming in accepting and like just being showered with all the gifts from the universe, okay? And so it's about making that language shift. Real quick, I'm going to read some comments here. Sis says, I'm making a career change and currently in an in-between state. So I'm yet to know what my income will be in the near future. Any advice on how to navigate this in-between phase in the feminine and a pleasurable way? Thanks. Sis, absolutely. So a really important thing to do, especially when you're in an in-between phase, is one, shift into reconnecting with faith in the divine. A great book to do this is Outrageous Openness by Tasha Silver. I highly recommend it. Or The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Both really amazing books and ones that I recommend all the time to my clients. And I read continually again and again because it reinstills in you a faith in the divine and reconnecting with that feminine power and pleasure in the present moment, even if things seem shaky, right? So being in an in-between space, from a financial perspective, if you're trying to combat extremely high anxious energy about having no income, consider getting like a side job. Like when I left my 9-to-5 job and I did not totally have a plan on how this business was going to work out or what was going to happen. I right away got a job part-time in retail. Now, was this something I deeply desired to be doing? No. But the thing is, I knew that I could not go into a space of being in a space of thinking that I was hemorrhaging cash, right? And having no income and being unaware and unsure of how that would exactly play out. And so for the first year of my business, I had a part-time job so that I knew at least my basic expenses would be taken care of and I wouldn't be completely obliterating my savings. That is a really, really important thing to do. So if you are being if there's a high level of anxiety that puts you into a space of desperate energy and trying to figure out the new career path, if you're already no, I have job interviews lined up and it's totally going to be fine, then more power to you. Get it. I'm so happy for you. That was my personal experience of me knowing that I would move into a desperate energy and I wouldn't be putting the appropriate energy out there in getting a job because I knew at least my fixed expenses were covered and I was okay. And it wouldn't, it wouldn't fuck with my energy when it came to getting clients in this business. Okay. So I no longer have that part-time job. I'm fully on this and it's amazing and I fucking love it. But it's an important thing to recognize. So staying in that feminine, pleasure-focused way is potentially looking at getting some kind of part-time job that isn't going to completely destroy you, but something you can do to get rid of that anxiety when it comes to your finances, but then also falling back into those readings such as Outrageous Openness, How to Play the Game, the Game of Life and How to Play It. I recommend both those books. Angelique, I have 4 kinds of debt. One I haven't done or paid taxes in the last 2 years. Okay, so tax debt, and that makes me feel fearful and shameful. Totally get you, Angelique. That's totally a common feeling to have when we have unpaid debts. 2, credit card debt just makes me feel like I should be earning more. Totally hear you. It's a living outside your means. 3, house debt feels good. Yeah, it's considered a positive debt because it's one which you've invested in your future. That's a normal feeling. Student loan debt feels pretty neutral. Yeah. And those are all pretty standard feelings around of debt, because there's good debt and bad debt, and understanding that relationship of what those good and bad debts are, and understanding, which ones are building your wealth eventually and which ones are just decreasing it. So I totally understand those feelings, and thank you so much for sharing. I'd love to pay off my debt within a year. That isn't possible at the moment, but could be if I created more income. Yes, Angelique, I love that you already are it's possible if I created more income. So pretty much what you need to be saying is, a shift in, if you're open to a reframe, and there's a delay in response. So I'm going to think that you are open to a reframe. So if you're thinking, I'd love to pay off my debt within an year, just be I desire paying off my debt in a year, and I will have X income to do so. So you started your own business and you relied heavily on credit cards, totally get you there. And, maybe shifting and working through how that debt makes you feel on a deeper level, going back to number 2 that we talked about, of understanding on a feminine level how this debt makes you feel and what it brings up for you around your patterning and programming. So the reframe would pretty much be no, I'm going to make this money and I'm going to pay off this credit card debt within the year. Then Sis says, I have a part-time project with a tech startup. I'm very interested in working, it's very interesting work, though not paying enough. I'll need either more clients or more jobs. Totally hear you. So look at, if it's business expansion and you already have a part-time job, then look at getting more clients rather than going towards jobs, and thinking about, okay, how can I get more clients? What's the work you do? How can you put yourself out there to attract more clients? Olivia says, what are your thoughts on thoughts about withdrawing from 401k to pay off debt? Olivia, great question. That's something that's really specific to different people. It's more that's a real in-depth analysis question of finances that I definitely have gone through the pros and cons of that with different clients. But it's more I need to have a very clear financial picture and be working with someone to make that that advisement. Like some of my clients have done it. Some of them we've found different ways in which to pay it off without doing that, and like the penalty that you'll that will come about because of it. And just asking yourself, is the debt repayment what's the feeling going to be after you use that money for the debt repayment? That's a good place to start. Like if you take out of your retirement, how is that going to make you feel about paying off that debt? Because if it's going to make you feel resentful or angry, it might not be the best choice. You want to make sure that you're not bringing in like a bunch more sludge, into your energetic money field, if that makes sense. Okay. Let me know if what I'm putting down, you're picking up. Okay. So number 5 that I want to talk about, okay? Because real quick recap on number 4 was understanding these facts, which is number 1, taking out an additional loan to consolidate and pay off all your debt is not taking on more debt. It's a reframing of your debt. Okay. And then number 2, shift from an I can't to an I can. Now, number 5 is about shifting your income energy to a more feminine place. Olivia says, got it. Thanks. Beautiful. I'm so happy. Number 5 is shifting your income energy. Now, this is such a fun one. Okay. Because the thing is, you have your desired plan. You know how the debt makes you feel. You know how you would feel actually having a plan to eliminate this debt. You are clear on your debt numbers, right? And now it's the thing of like, you have the actual plan outlined, and what you might be saying is like, oh, well, I don't have the money to pay this off. But really what you want to reframe on is, what are the feelings you are going to get with paying this off? How are you going to reframe into, increasing your income? Because as I was saying, in understanding these facts in point 4 is that, you're thinking like, I can't do this, but really you need to shift to like, I can. So then start opening yourself up to shifting your income energy and being like, yes, I actually totally can do this. This is possible. Because the more you keep telling yourself, like I challenge you for 7 days to tell yourself it's possible to pay off my debt by whatever desired deadline you have. Tell yourself that every single day, every single time your debt comes up, just keep repeating that affirmation to yourself. After 7 days, I can guarantee you that there is going to be a shift in your energy. And guess what? One opportunity is going to show up in your life where it's suddenly like, oh shit, I could do this to make more money. Or, oh shit, I could do this to consolidate my loans. Or, oh shit, I could do this to get more clients. There are going to be tons of opportunities which are cut off from you energetically right now because you are not living in the divine feminine space of receive and let me welcome in this amazing abundance into my life. Okay. So Sis says, what are your thoughts on saving at the same time as debt repayment? I've read in Financial Recovery to save our way to debt free, to save before paying off debt aggressively, which I can see how that can provide some stability if you lose your job or lose income. What are your thoughts on that? Sis, I'm going to leave that question until the end for the Q&A because I just want to get through these points, but I for sure will come back to that. I have opinions. So how do you do this? By refocusing your energy, like shifting this income energy, right? You need to focus on the feelings you will get from paying off your debt. So let me know in the comments real quick, if you were able to completely pay off your debt, you see yourself making that final payment on your credit card, that final payment on your student loans, on your mortgage, on your auto loan, whatever it might be, right? What is the feeling you get? Okay, because it is important to connect with your emotional result if you want to get there. Okay, let me know in the comments. Some of the feelings that I myself and my clients have had: empowerment, right? Excitement, relief, calm. Like what are the feelings you will get from paying off your debt, making that final payment? Empowerment, strength. And, it's important to like feel those feelings on a daily basis, right? If you are working to get to them, right? So, what are the feelings that you would get from making that final payment on your debt? and then think about implementing that into your every single day life, right? Because I can guarantee you that if you chose to start telling yourself, I can pay my debt off by X deadline, by desired deadline, I can pay my debt off by desired deadline, and then you started actually focusing on, like, for not even 5 minutes, like let's say 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the afternoon, and like 2 minutes at night, and you literally saw yourself submitting that final payment on your computer, right, for your debt repayment. Because I know that you're making payments on those things. You know what the interface looks like, right, on your computer. And you press submit, and it's that final payment. And you sit in that feeling for just 2 minutes, 3 times a day. It's going to be pretty fucking transformative. It's going to shift your energy. You're going to shift into a place of being like, I am not depriving myself. I am not in this like negative, shitty place, right? So Olivia says you'd feel light. Whitney would feel freedom. Sis says powerful, light, ease, calm. Whitney, so much excitement. Yes, freedom. Fantastic. So literally set a timer right now, decide to pick like 3 times a day where you would set a timer and you would connect with that feeling. Because the thing is, if you want to bring more pleasure into your financial relationship, if you want to bring more feminine energy into your financial relationship, specifically around your debt, you need to start, one, handling the like sludge that is currently there, understanding the swamp that's there, which is understanding your emotions towards your debt right now, figuring out ways to release that, and then start replacing that with positive feelings. Start connecting with how positive it will feel to shift into this space of paying off your debt and eliminating it, because it'll then shift your ability to actually increase your income, right? Because you're going to see that like there's going to be all these opportunities that start popping up for you and becoming clear to you. Another important thing around, shifting your energetic income is like incorporating, and this is kind of, it's a shift in your energy. It's creating milestone celebrations and having a buddy to do this with. I think that is one of the reasons why so many of my clients are so successful at eliminating their debt so quickly when we work together, because I'm their accountability person. They're showing up to talk with me, every other week, and like throughout the time between that of like checking in about their finances, talking about money, becoming, fearless and having those conversations, and, going to a place of creating these milestones to celebrate their successes as they go. So set up milestones to celebrate. Like, what are things that you could quickly imagine? Like, if you paid off 50% of your debt, do you think that's a celebratory milestone? Because if you don't think it's a celebratory milestone, you're not going to be motivated to do it. What about 25% of your debt? What about even creating your plan, right? And celebration does not need to be spending money. It could be you having a dance party, in a car with your friend, to like a money playlist. It's all about like, you welcoming in this new energy when it comes to your debt, and like moving away from this whole like deprivation. I'm not good enough to pay this off. I got myself into like a really shitty situation, and let me like stay in this like, negative talk spiral and continue on this way. You can choose to say no to that. And it's about shifting where you are currently and knowing like, okay, I'm going to create celebratory goals. So we're moving on to number 6, and then we're going to be going into Q&A. So if you have any additional questions that have been coming up as we've been going through this, after we get through 6, we're going to go into Q&A. So start dropping your questions into the comments. But number 6, real quick, is we're ending with a little bit of strategic financial management. As I said, we don't just work on the emotional and what's going on. We have to work on the financial strategy as well. And number 6 is getting in control and managing your money. Now, it can feel really overwhelming to be like, I don't even know where to start when it comes to creating a financial planner. I don't know like what I even need to do. And that is 100% a normal feeling. You can feel like a lot of shame and guilt around being like, I just simply don't have the knowledge. I don't know what to be doing. But let me tell you something, you 100% do. Because the thing is, your divine feminine has brought you to this masterclass today, right? And she has been like, you know what? This is what we need to figure out. We need to know this information. We need to get clear on our numbers. We need to know what the hell we're doing. And so you need to choose to create a financial planner. Now, if you have had and start using these techniques that we've already talked about, if you've tried, doing a financial planner or a budget before, and like, you're like, it never worked out. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. They're all limiting plans and like totally, restrictive and total crap. Well, I want to tell you something. That is not feminine financial planning. Being in limitation and telling myself that I just need to work harder and that I haven't done well enough and that, and judging myself is totally the masculine place to be. And that may be great as a motivator for, masculine planners and being in a more masculine space. But when you move into the feminine, right? When you move into this place of, I am this divine being and I am amazing and I have the ability to receive from the universe and solutions to arrive at my doorstep to get this all figured out, guess what? They're like, controlling and managing your money becomes a hell of a lot easier, right? So you want to shift into a space of understanding that it does not need to be limiting. It does not need to be, I no longer get my hair done. I no longer go to the spa. I no longer can feel okay about buying a pair of sunglasses. No, that's not what feminine financial planning is about. That's not what getting in control and managing your money like a beautiful badass boss is about. No, it's not. Because what it is about is you actually just simply getting to know how you spend your money, right? It's about you creating a sustainable plan that you are present in your body and you're actually creating pleasure in your life in whatever little ways that looks like, right? Whether that be you being able to get flowers, right, for yourself, whether that be, buying organic. If those are things which you are like, these are things I desire in my life and it's how I want to be, I want that present in my financial planner, then put it in your financial planner. Because if you don't put it in there, it's not going to happen. If you don't declare those desires to the universe and say, this is what my financial planner looks like, this is how it's going down, then there is no way it's going to be a reality in your life unless you plan for it, right? Once you get clear on your desires, plan them into existence for yourself. So it's super, super important for you to get control and start managing your money. And that may look like finally creating a financial planner and, starting to understand where your money is going on a monthly basis so that you can create a sustainable debt repayment plan, okay? And that is so, so, so important to do. And if any of you want to talk on a deeper level about creating a specific debt repayment plan for you or creating your own first like feminine financial planner, I'm going to post my calendar right here in the comments. You are more than welcome to schedule a time to talk with me. I would love to talk with you and talk like money and, figure out like what it looks like to create a financial planner for you and what that means and what a sustainable financial planner looks like for you so that you can actually achieve the financial goals you want. Because there's no reason why you should be limited by money in your life. There's no reason why you should not have the luxury lifestyle you desire when it comes to traveling the world, buying designer clothes, or, shopping totally organic. And at farmers markets. Those are things, if you desire them, they are meant for you, okay? The divine has put those desires within you because they are meant for you. So let's talk about like how to financially make it a reality. And many times that comes with being, a beautiful, badass financial manager and an empowered money manager, having a sustainable debt repayment plan and not letting these negative emotions of like shame and doubt and fears outweigh you actually taking the actions you need to in your money, in your energetic relationship, and in your business. Okay. So to quickly recap, right? I want to recap the 6 points that I shared with you about shifting into a more feminine space when it comes to your financial management. Then I'm going to go into Q&A. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. As I recap here, number 1 is knowing your debt numbers. Okay, that is the first rip it off Band-Aid moment that I wanted to share with you. It is all about knowing your debt numbers. And what are those numbers? It's your due date, it is your interest rate, and is your total debt owed. Okay. Number 2 is identifying your debt programming. Okay, it is the number 1 step to do when it comes to creating a feminine debt repayment plan is approaching it from an emotional space. Okay. So many people, think that numbers aren't something that you need to get emotional about, right? There's shame about being emotional about your numbers. But let me tell you something. When you have emotions towards your debt, it seeps into all other aspects of your relationships with money. So if you're feeling shame and you want to hide from your debt, let me tell you something. You are hiding from potential income finding you. Because this is what happens when we have negative debt emotions, right? That is one type of money we deal with. Another type of money you deal with is your income. And what happens with that is they're all connected underground, right? I say underground, even though it's in our bodies, but they're all connected. And so the thing is, when you are feeling negative, right? If you're really tight and anxious about your debt, what happens is that emotion seeps in to your income emotion. And all of a sudden you tighten up and no longer want to receive. You no longer want to have financial success, because what's happening is it just tightens, and it's just and you can feel it. You can feel it in your body, right? Going back to those feelings, it makes you feel trapped. It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel shameful. It makes you feel fearful, right? All of those things are permeating into other money relationships which you have around your income, around savings, around positive debt, around your relationships, right? Because many of you who potentially have financial partners, or even your parents, how do you interact differently with your friends, your parents, your partner, because of your money, right? So it's so important to recognize that identifying your debt programming is also recognizing that energy is permeating into your income. Okay. So it's important to understand that and release that energy. Number 3, creating your plan. This is an important step to take, right? It's creating your desired plan, right? It's not just okay, let me create this plan and walk away from it and all that. It's actually creating a sustainable plan that feels good to the feminine divine within you, the divine feminine within you, that feels good. It doesn't make you cringe at how much work you're going to have to do. It doesn't make you cringe about the deprivation techniques you're going to have to take in when it comes to actually managing your money. That is not a feminine plan, okay? One which feels good to you and has a desired deadline that feels good to you. Understanding those factors that I shared with you around taking out a loan to consolidate your debt does not mean you are taking on more debt. It's a reframing of your debt. Very, very important factor to understand. Number 2, shifting your language around paying it off so that you can open up to the divine feminine coming into your life, okay? Number 5 was shifting your income energy. Again, this is deeply connected to number 4, but it's shifting into the space of being willing to receive. As a woman, it is your divine right to receive. We are built as receivers. We are built as receivers of love, of abundance, of joy. That is what we are programmed to experience, okay? So it's about moving into that energetically so that you can shift to receive more income, more solutions, more opportunities so that you can get rid of this debt, okay? And number 6 is getting in control and managing your money, okay? And that does not need to be a deprivation technique. It does not need to be, some kind of extremely negative experience, that can be something really, really beautiful where you come out of it an empowered money manager and this beautiful badass boss who knows what the fuck is going down with her money, and she does not feel intimidated about facing it. Okay? And if that is something you are desiring to create in your life, then get on a call with me. Because this is what I do. I lead women through like a divine feminine reframing of their entire finances. And it's something that I adore doing and I'm extremely passionate about and extremely driven to help as many women as possible shift their entire relationship with money. Okay? So real quick, I'm going to go back to questions here. I'm going to work up from the bottom to the top. Whitney says, any tips on motivating your partners? So you're talking, clarifying question, Whitney, if you're still with us. You're saying your financial partner is not as motivated as you to potentially repay debt or earn as much. And what are the motivating factors to do that? So I'm going to go with potentially that is what you're talking about. When it comes to motivating a partner, I think it's really, really important for you to get clear on what is it you desire about your relationship with your partner when it comes to finances. And it can be super, super scary, but then sharing that desire with your partner. So for instance, if you were like, I would love for us to have clearer communication about finances, or for instance, something that I recommend my clients do and that I've shared in other live streams is money dates, and how important money dates are to developing a divine feminine relationship with money. When it comes to connecting to a divine feminine relationship with money, you have got to implement money dates. And this is about it being a pleasurable experience for you checking in with your finances, whether that looks like you getting, your favorite bottle of wine for the night and checking in with your finances together. So like actually having it be a date between you and your partner and getting clear on what your desires are. Whitney said for getting on a budget. Totally get you. Whitney, you might need to reframe, okay? Budget is a loaded fucking word. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people feel a lot of restraint around it. A lot of people feel constraint around it. Deprivation. They feel like it's a constant thing they fail at. So reframing to being a financial plan or financial planner, that is the language I use. That is what I recommend my clients use when they're talking about reframing, financial success planner. So reframing to that, implementing money dates with your partner, but first get really, really clear on what is it that you want them. What type of interactions do you want to be having with your financial partner when it comes to your finances, implementing money dates, and then being very clear with your partner about what will these money dates provide to you, right? So if you think about you and your financial partner being on the same page and like adhering to a budget and talking about money, what is that going to provide to you? That's going to probably provide trust. It's going to make you feel like maybe you're equal partners. Think about what is it going to provide for you and making sure that you share that with your partner, because you definitely want to reward your partner and make it very clear about the benefits they're going to bring to you and bring to the table, and how amazingly cared for you're going to feel with them showing up for you. Okay. So that is a really important thing. And it's something, of course, that I talk with my clients about when it comes to developing that type of clarity on language and conversation with our partner when it comes to financial management. Okay, going back to Sis's question from earlier, what are your thoughts on saving at the same time of repaying debt? I read in Financial Recovery to save our way to debt-free, to save before paying off debt aggressively, which I can see how that provides some stability if you lose a job or lose income. What's your thought on that? Great question, Sis. So this is such a big question. And not that that's a problem. It's just like, there's such interesting back and forth on it in the financial industry. So my personal recommendation is that you can always be saving a little bit while still paying off debt aggressively. I feel like the weight which having zero in savings creates for my clients, or the weight and anxiety which having zero in your savings creates is way worse than, you deciding to take out like, an extra $50 from what that debt repayment would be like if you were putting it into savings. Now, I'm not saying like aggressively save. I feel like you really can't go to either extreme, because a lot of people say, oh, you have to get the emergency funds of like, 6 months, being completely, no income before you pay off your debt. And then other people are like, no, you have to pay off your debt before you put anything in savings. I feel like those are both extremes and they're not helpful, and they create a lot of bad financial paradigms and like weird energy when it comes to increasing your income or creating a better financial situation for yourself. So I personally recommend, like, yes, pay off your debt aggressively, but still be contributing a small amount to some kind of savings, so that if something does happen, you do have like a small cushion. But also like not planning for something to happen, if that makes sense. So my biggest recommendation would always be to continue to like increase your income and, be paying off the debt, and just adhere to your desired deadline. And still contributing a small amount to that savings. Personally, that's what I recommend. And it's what I've always recommended to my clients, because I think having zero in savings for like when those things come up, for instance, like, needing new tires or some kind of medical bill or something like that, those things that just come up, I think it's not the best financial plan to take. But I don't think that like you should be like, oh, I'm going to completely ignore my debt until I have this like 6 months of savings put in there. And like, I'm totally okay till then. Like, I just think that's bad financial planning in my opinion, because it creates a bunch of negative financial energy. So yeah, did that answer your question, sis? And Whitney, did that answer your question about how to approach your partner and getting them motivated? Excuse me. Let me know in the comments if you guys are still on. So that is pretty much what I have on feminine debt repayment. If you guys have any additional questions, please drop them in the comments below. For those of you who are able to join live, I am so happy you are able to join. I loved seeing all of your comments come through and getting to talk with all you beautiful ladies and learn more about, the financial situation that you're facing right now and your relationships with debt and what you're working through. I'm more than happy to talk with you more in depth about what it would look like to create a very specific debt repayment plan for you, or creating your own first financial planner. Just schedule a call with my calendar. I dropped the link below. Jennifer says, thank you, Sister Goddess. Good hearing you and sharing. I appreciate your talk. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, I'm so happy you enjoyed it. Sis says, that's helpful. Thank you. I'm so happy that was helpful for you guys. If you have any other particular Olivia says, thank you. If you guys have any other particular topics that you would like to know more about when it comes to finances, I'm more than happy to do another live stream lesson and share with you all this beautiful knowledge that I have and continue helping you become an empowered money manager. I'd love to share with you. So just let me know in these comments or just in the B3 Society group of like, hey, can you give me more information on X, Y, and Z, whether that be discovering your money story, learning more about being a feminine financial planner, shifting your energy around maybe one specific area. I'd love to hear from you. For those of you who are catching the replay, I'm so happy you were able to join us in the replay. If you have any comments, feel free to tag me in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them after the fact. And I hope Carmen says life insurance as a topic. She's looking at this now. Very interesting, Carmen. I'm excited that you're looking into life insurance. So I will talk to you all later. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day or evening, whatever time zone you are on. And I will be talking to you all later. And if you have any questions after the fact, go ahead and tag me in the comments, and I will see you all later. Bye.